the train accident that inspired her purpose to go and be a holistic soul body doctor. Please, please help me welcome Miss Pride. Let's get into it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to God, Coffee, and Resilience with Reese. Today we have a very special person on our podcast today. Her name is Teresa Pride. And today she's going to be telling us her story of resilience. And first of all, hello. And thank you for being on the show.
Hello. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and I'm excited for you to tell the audience all about your story of resilience and how you came out on the other side and all the things. But before we get into that, I always like to start with an icebreaker, and I've been on a roll with this one. I've been stomping some people with this question. What are 3 things that most people wouldn't assume about you or know about you, like at all?
Oh gosh. And I just finished saying, I am so open and everybody knows everything about me. Let's see. What are 3 things? I have never seen The Godfather, any of the movies, never, ever. Don't let my husband know that. He'll be upset. And then I am not really afraid of bugs necessarily. Maybe some people know that about me, but insects and stuff like that don't tend to really bother me. And then what's the 3rd thing people don't really know about me? Even though I used to be a runner, I hate running. I think it's completely overrated.
Yeah, we can agree. I don't do any type of cardio. I can be on the treadmill for like 2 seconds and I'll be like, God, did I reach 5 minutes yet? Has it been 20 minutes yet? And I'm like, it's only been 2 minutes. That's a lie. Like, I'm tired. I'm out of breath. I'm getting off of this and I'm going to go lift weights. Like,
So
I'd rather
overrated. I'm not a fan at all. But which sounds weird because people remember me being a runner.
Did you run like in high school, college?
In high school, yeah.
Awesome. My brother did track and I was like, good luck. But he was going into the service. He was training, trying to get himself together. And I mean, he gets out of the National Guard next year in October and he can't wait because he is just tired of the PT test and like tired of them calling him every time there's like the hurricane just happened in New Orleans. Bless those people. And it is. And they called him and they were just like, so be on standby because you might have to go. And he was like, see, this is what I'm talking about. I'm like, this is what you signed up for. This is what I tried to warn you about. And you didn't want to listen to me. So
all lessons. It's all good. I tell people it's just seasons, right? Seasons of life.
It's just seasons, right? So where are you located?
So currently I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been here since 2012, but I'm originally from Texas, which is where I think I get the I'm not afraid of bugs thing.
And I'm in Texas. I just moved to Texas maybe like 4 months ago. And so I'm in Plano.
Yeah. Oh, Plano. Yep. So I grew up down by the Gulf of Mexico and a little tiny town. Yeah, small town girl here.
Yes. And I'm getting a kick out of seeing, like, I go to the grocery store or the gas station and these little men will pop out the car and they have on their little cowboy hat and the little belt buckle and with their little shoes. And they're serious. They're really serious.
They're very serious.
Wrong. Yes. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yep, and it's a very serious endeavor there. Yeah, there's real cowboys.
Yes, and I asked a question, and I think I might have embarrassed myself, but it's okay. And I was just like, "So is the Texas Rangers real?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's a real thing." And I was like, "So do they dress like Walker Texas Ranger? Like, do they ride horses?" And they were like, "No." And I'm like, "So why are they called the Texas Rangers?" Like, I wanted to know. I was like, "So if they're not like Walker Texas Ranger, then what are they doing?" And they were like, "Mostly they're dressed in regular clothes, and they only come in if it's like big notch, top secret." I'm like the CIA, FBI, and they were like, "Yeah." And I'm like, but then that takes the fun out of things because we got regular police officers. Why don't we have the Rangers? And they was like, that's not what they do. And I was mad.
That kind of bust your bubble. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was like, I'm going to see them riding down the street on a horse. And they were like, no, you're not.
But there are some cops in Texas that ride the horses still in some of the
Yeah.
cities. Yeah,
See,
that's nice.
it's not dead. It's still there. People just don't want me to be happy.
No, well, welcome to Texas, and I hope you settle in, you know.
Yes, yes, I finally unpacked, so that's great.
Oh,
That's
that's a big, mm, that's a big
yeah,
undertaking.
yeah. From Virginia to Texas, I was just like, oh Lord, but I made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess my first question would be like,
Mhm.
what was it like growing up? Like, did you have siblings? Where did you grow up, which would be
Um,
Texas? Like,
yeah,
what?
my little town of Texas. Well, yeah, so it was small, and I would say, so I didn't have any siblings that I grew up with necessarily. I have step siblings, adopted siblings, that sort of thing, that, and some that I've never met actually, because I've been adopted myself. And so yeah, I grew up with an adoptive, excuse me, mother, and it was kind of me and her against the world for a little while. And she reached out to my birth father when I was about 3 and said, I think I adopted your little girl, and if you want to be part of her life, wonderful, and if you don't, I understand. And he said, absolutely. So my father and mother, on that side of my family, are part of my life and have been since I was 3, which is really cool. So yeah, just kind of grew up technically as an only child, but I do have siblings that I get along with, and they're my brothers and sisters now. But it's really funny whenever people ask me about my family. I say I don't have a family tree. I have a family bush. It kind of just like spreads out. There's like all these different parts of it. I usually have to like draw a diagram
No, I
at
love
some
it.
point. Yeah, so it gets really, pretty complicated, but it's really neat to have like just different people that I've called parents over the years. And even like, like best friends when you're growing up, like their parents become your parents type of thing,
Yes.
that sort of thing. So yeah, small town, just kind of knew everybody, was related to a lot of people. My mother was, Mexican. So even though I'm of, biracial as far as black and white goes, I was raised in a Latin, kind of family, and so that was really cool too. Grew up speaking Spanish, and just kind of really, yeah, just really my Texas roots are a little bit more, something that I resonate with sometimes. And so, yeah, it was a little bit of a culture shock for me, a little small town Texas girl, to go up to college, near Dallas, Texas, where it's very different, demographic. And I had to kind of come out of my shell, right, when I went off to college. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. Growing up, I mean, just I tell people all the time, didn't have much, but you don't always know it when you're little sometimes. And yeah, just had lots of different family members to lean on, which was nice.
And you mentioned you came up this way, like towards Dallas to go to school. What school did you go to?
Yes, I
And
went
what?
to Texas Women's University. I always tell people it sounds so archaic, Texas Women's University, but it's real, right? And it is co-ed. But that's up in Denton, right, north of Dallas. And so I went there to dance. Actually, I was a dance major and got my degree in dance performance. Yeah, it was really cool.
What type of dance?
Mostly, TW is mostly kind of known for its modern dance, but of course, when you study it, you have to study everything, tap and jazz and ballet and African, and like there are so many cool things that I got to learn. Yeah, it was really neat. But that was my first real test of resilience. As you say, I had never really taken dance before. And I decided to audition for a dance program and major in it, with not a whole lot of experience other than, like dance team and my little Texas town. type of thing. And so that was my first exposure to doing something really difficult that I was very much a small fish in a big sea all of a sudden. Um, but I figured it out. I
You
persevered.
did. Oh my goodness. Yes, because my
Yeah,
mom, I remember when I was young, my mom used to say, I'm going to put you in ballet. I don't think she ever did. Well, I wouldn't remember that. Yeah, I don't
I
think she
would
ever.
remember.
Yeah, because I'm the only girl.
Oh
And so, of
no.
course, she wanted to throw bows in my hair and put me in tutus and stuff and all the things. Like I'm a little puppet. I'm her little puppet. But it was cute. I have pictures in tutus, but I don't think I actually did ballet.
I
I
did
think I was like
not.
two
I
or
did not.
three. Yeah, I
No,
didn't
I
do it.
didn't get the chance at all until, I'm 18 years old. I'm in college and it's like for a grade. And here I am trying to figure it out. I remember calling home for the first like 2 weeks, crying every day to my mom. I was like, it's like they're speaking a different language. And she was like, yes, mija, they are. It's French. She told me. One of my favorite memories.
Yes, I remember. Gosh, when I was going to college, I think for the first month I drove home every weekend. It's just like you can't wait to get out
Right.
the parents' house, and then you finally get out, and you're just like, "What is this? I'm going home."
This is trash. This is so
Like,
much
what is
trash.
this?
I have to feed myself. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, gotta go home. I miss home. Well, what was it? So you went to school for dance, and then after you graduated, what came next?
Well, I already knew that I wanted to go into physical therapy from high school. So, back when I was running track, right, in high school, we were at a meet and we finished the meet and we were driving home really late at night on our school bus, and our school bus was actually hit by a train. We were on the tracks, wrong time, wrong place, and we were struck. And it was just one of those moments of, it could have been so much worse. Thank goodness nobody lost their life. But there was some, serious injuries, and it was my entire, the girls' track team. The boys' team was on another bus behind us. And so I don't know if you can imagine being separated by a train and knowing that you've got sisters, friends, girlfriends, on the other side of that train and not knowing, if they were okay or what happened. And so I had to go to physical therapy and kind of forfeit, the rest of that season. And um, that was the first time I had never heard of physical therapy. And I think this is a lot of like people in medicine or healthcare. Sometimes they get right, like they get involved in something and they go, I never knew about this before. It's the personal experience sometimes. And so being in PT for, several months after that really was like a turning point of like, I want to do this. This is so cool. Like you get to help people and help them with their injuries. And I just watched people come and go at the clinic that I went to in my little town and pick the PT's brain, how do you do this? How do you get into this? And so I was told, in order to get to PT school, you just need a bachelor's degree. It doesn't matter what it's in, you're just going to have to get your prereqs, get your bachelor's. And so that was my Hail Mary of like, oh, I finally get to dance. Like, even if it's only for 4 years, like I finally get to dance because I get to study anything I want.
Yes, anything.
So that was like really my pass through point. I didn't realize I was going to love it as much as I did. I didn't realize I was going to go pro in dancing in those few short years, but I did, and I really wrestled with like, do I continue this path even though it's later in life, or do I continue what I originally set out to do at the mere age of 14, which was, I'm
Right.
going to be a physical therapist and I'm going to help people. And so I, at that crossroads, I went straight into PT school and flew out to Los Angeles, California, knew nobody out there. Another, let me just do the next thing, right, that I don't know anything about. But same thing, just kind of figured it out and and made it through PT school, limping and all, because goodness gracious, I don't think people realize how brutal some of these programs are, you know.
Yes, Lord.
But yes, oh, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure until I actually walked across the stage. But yeah, I just made it through PT school with all of those trials and tribulations, and got to the other side and said that's what I set out to do all those years before. So yeah.
I love it. So your original passion came back to you, and you were like, this one, that one, this one, that one. Okay, I'm gonna go back to this one. And yeah, so
Right.
you
Yeah.
can still love dance and do PT or be a PT. But you
Right.
went for, you know, what'd you say?
Right. Of course, there's the idea of stability there, right? And something that's high demand and that sort of thing. But yeah, I agree that the experience dancing, I mean, I was able to work with professional dancers as a PT. I was able to speak their language and understand exactly what they were going through. And so that was really cool. I believe firmly now, after I've been through a few identity crises, right? That
Oh, yeah.
everything you come through, everything that you experience is only there to support and help the next step, no matter what it
Yes.
is.
And
Yeah.
I was just about to say, like, only the Lord knew. He knew. He was just like, yeah, if she's going to do physical therapy. I mean, of course, there's people who play sports, but I don't think people think about dancers a lot. When you think about PT, you think about the old people who got
No.
arthritis and different things
Yeah.
going on, or their back
Yeah.
hurts, or people that got into car accidents and things like that. But I don't think, even me included, I don't think about dancers going to physical
Yeah.
therapy. And I'm like, but why not? So yes. So
Right.
that's beautiful.
It's its own thing. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so what came, so you went to PT school, you walked across that stage, whoop whoop. You became a physical
Mhm.
therapist, and then how long were you working in PT before you decided, I think I want to go entrepreneur route? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah. I mean, I would credit, because I graduated in 2008 for as a physical therapist, and I credit my now husband, we were dating at the time, that he was very much like, you should open your own place, because he saw that I had this very niche, like working with dancers or being, just working with people on a different level. I was very much sought out for how empathetic I was and how much I paid attention to the whole person and not just their injury and that sort of thing. And so I wrote my first business plan in 2008, right after I
Uh-huh.
graduated. But I started my first, like iteration of my business in 2017. So almost 10 years later,
But you
you
did.
know. But yeah, like learning, working in different environments. I worked in infectious disease. I worked in outpatient. I did different things, and it really all, I think helped and colored my experience. But I just had my anniversary for 4 years in business yesterday. Yay,
Well,
yay.
happy anniversary. Happy belated
Thank
anniversary.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Big milestone, as you know, for
Yeah.
for these, types of things that we do. But I started, physical therapy practice with a Pilates studio integrated,
Uh-huh.
because I've been teaching Pilates also since 2001. So for 20 years, I've been working with people's bodies, period, teaching
Right.
them, moving them, helping them, healing them. And so I integrated the two and came up against my next little identity crisis of, do I still want to practice physical therapy in its traditional form?
And it's
And
traditional.
in its traditional form, and the traditional, like I said, I was already kind of a, not as falling in line as some of my colleagues that I came through some of the different clinics I worked in. I really just wanted to take that step back and understand people's emotional health.
Right.
And what else was going on at home. And I was very patient centered, and that used to butt heads
Yes.
with some of the places that I would work. And yeah, while it was finally my turn to do things my way,
Yes.
you come up to the truth pretty quickly of, well, there's a reason why they did things a certain way. While you
Right.
may not have agreed with it, business is business, and you've got to figure out how to step in this world now. And so that was a
Mm-hmm.
big wake up call for sure. And I do appreciate all the experiences I had before that to let me be humble in that moment and
Yeah.
understand, if I want to do things differently, I might need to rewrite the entire story. And
Right.
that's what I did. I have shifted over the years to now truly standing in that truth of, working with energy, working with the emotional health of my clients and my patients and the body all together, because it's so integrated and there's no way to separate it. And
Yes.
so
And I'm
that's
glad you
where
said that.
I settled finally. Like, it's not just physical therapy, it's not just Pilates, it's everything about
All of
your
it.
health. Yeah, yeah.
I love that because not a lot of people, you don't hear a lot of people talk about like emotional health and things like that. Everything is either medicine or body, or bones and stuff. And then you're just like, okay, bye. And
Yeah.
I do think emotions have a huge role to play. I do psychiatry. So, for instance, everybody who come over to the psychiatry side, you always hear them say, well, it took me a while. I tried to do like I tried to run more or I tried to do this. It's like it's the biggest stigma in the world, which I hope goes
Right.
away at one
Ugh,
point.
me
But
too. Me
taking care of
too.
your emotional health is, taboo and you should just pray more or you should just do something else
Mm,
and just walk away. And I'm just like, well, sometimes it's not always that easy. I mean, the Lord can do a lot of things. Yes, He can. But I'm
sure.
just like, if you had the flu, would you tell yourself to just pray more? If you had a heart attack, would you, or if you broke your
Right,
leg, would you tell yourself just to pray more, or would you go see the doctor and get the X-ray and get the cast and come to your appointments? I don't think that
right.
emotional health should be any different, but a lot of people
No,
do. Oh, hold on. But a lot of people
you are
do,
good.
and I just
Yeah.
think that that's being unfair, not only to
Mm.
yourself, but I just don't think that's fair.
No,
But
not at
I do
all.
want to ask, like,
It's
where
not.
did heel code and soul body come into play? The soul body doctor, which I like that name.
That came into play just, I know, like, you're so wa that was actually kinda given to me, by a client. She, we were discussing, some, like, Carl Jung, kind of philosophy and that sort of thing, and she said, that he was really a soul doctor. And, she said, "You're a soul doctor." She said, "You're my soul doctor." And I said, "But I don't just deal with your soul, right? I'm healing your body too. We work on." She said, "Well, then you're a soul body doctor." And it
I
kind of
like
stuck. Like, yeah, exactly. It kind of just stuck, and that's how, I was introducing myself. And Heal Code just came about because it I don't, I don't want people to feel like it's some mystery
right.
of connecting their energy and their essence and their emotions to their body and vice versa. Like, I don't want it to feel like it's separate anymore. And I like that idea of just like helping somebody crack the code of merging it all back together, getting people to drop back down into their bodies. We're so disconnected. We're so
Yeah.
disassociated from what's going on in our world right now. And it's no wonder, people come to me because their heel is hurting. They get left heel pain, and they're just like, "Oh, it's plantar fasciitis. I've had it so many times before." And it's like, well, there's a time when you're not just muscles and bones anymore. There's a
Yes.
time when, well, how is that pain manifesting? Where is it really coming from? When you've
Mm-hmm.
tried everything else, and when you've um, done all the exercises and you've done all the different things, like, has anybody talked to you about how you're handling your world right now. And I
Right.
always tell people I'm not that kind of therapist. I always say I'm not that kind of therapist, but I understand the correlation. And if that means I need to help you advocate for yourself, if that means we've got to refer you, if that means you just need to take some of your session to talk about things a little bit before we get into moving, that's what we do, you know?
Yes. I love that. That's beautiful. Because as soon as you
Yeah.
said plantar fasciitis, I'm like, yep, yep, yep. And then you're just like, but, and I'm like, uh-huh.
Yep, yep. There's
So
some
my,
very clear referral patterns, that happen in our bodies that are either coming from other physical places. A lot of our organs don't have, their own signal to tell us
yes,
something's wrong. So it shows up as back pain, or it shows up as hip pain, or or something like that. But then there's other things where we're silencing ourselves, and we're stifling our voices, and that energy is blocked. And what is that going to manifest as? How is that going to show up as jaw pain or shoulder pain, or so it's very connected, all of it.
yes. Oh Lord. Well, it looks like I'm gonna have to come in. I'll be your next client. Because I
I
twisted my
love it. I
jaw and I
love it.
have some things, and I'm just like, well, I'm gonna go on and make me an appointment because this is interesting. But I mean, I'm so happy that you followed your dream, you followed your voice, and you stuck out like a sore thumb, and you did what you had to do different from your colleagues because that was your purpose. And there's not a lot of people out
Yeah.
there doing what you do. So now for people who seek that type of treatment,
Yeah.
there is somebody doing it and it's you.
Right.
And I
Right.
couldn't imagine what it would
Absolutely.
be like if you didn't do it. So kudos to
I
you.
don't
I'm
know.
happy.
Thank you. But that's my story of, like, when I have other PTs or massage therapists or Pilates instructors, these are kind of, in the rehab type movement bodywork worlds. When they
Mhm.
come to me, they're like, how did you do it? Like, how did you walk away from the student loans? And I mean, obviously I didn't walk away from those, still paying them. But like,
No.
how do you walk away, and how do you identify as something else like that? Like, what what did you tell your family, or what did you, and I'm just here to share with anybody who's in their own struggle right now of, like, I'm not sure how to walk my purpose. I don't know how to do what I'm meant to do. I'm afraid, of what people are going to think or say. I went through all of that. So believe me, it's totally real, very valid. But at the
Yes.
same time, like you said, it's like, where would I be? Like, how would be feeling? What chronic pain would I still have, right? That I've been able to eradicate because I've been able to be true to myself and move forward and get out of my body in that way. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to say, if there's something you want to do, and the main thing holding you back is how the optics look, to the outside world, like, there's so many ways to move past that. And there's people to talk to, and there's mentors you can find. And but if that's the fear, if that's what's holding you back, I just hope that I was able to show a little, like, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
Exactly. And that was actually my last question. If you had any advice for anybody who is thinking about branching out from something that is looked upon as odd or outside of the social norm or outside of the way
Yeah.
things have always been done, what would you say to
You'll
them? And I told
find
them
you'll
perfect.
find your people. You'll find your people. If you're in the entrepreneurial space and you want to branch out and you want to do things a little differently. I mean, I have a moon circle, for crying out loud. I mean, we move with the moon, we plan our months with the moon, and I have women in there that are just so amazed and so, like, grateful that I'm doing that and I'm helping them in that way. You will find your people, whatever you
Uh,
decide you want to do. They'll be there.
yes.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful because for the longest, I never thought I would find my people. And I do have days where, like you said, you have identity crisis and you're just like, where am I now? How do I, check in, self check ins? And when I
Right.
moved to Texas, I knew nobody here. When I moved to Virginia, I knew nobody there. So it's just like,
Right.
okay, what are we doing? Why are we here? What are we? And it's so much needed, like meditation and everything, just
Yes.
reconnecting with yourself. So I'm glad you said that because that's
Yeah.
one of the things that I tried to encourage. I talked about on previous episodes was just like, do something for you. It's 24 hours in a day. It's not going to hurt to take 30 minutes or an hour to yourself. You do so much for other
Yeah.
people, so much for work. We
Right.
spend 95% of our lives at work. Please do something for yourself. And I'm hoping that
Please,
y'all are
please, please.
listening.
Yes, take it in. It's not only like good for you, of course, but it's necessary.
It
It's so
is. It's so
necessary.
necessary. Yes. When I moved
Mhm.
here, one of the things I started doing was getting massages every 2 weeks on payday. And so
Nice.
I found out that my body was way more relaxed and I left feeling like a brand new person. Sometimes I would leave feeling like butter, but I would go home and be happy for like the next, couple of days or whatever because I felt good. My back didn't hurt anymore. I
Nice.
felt great. And so I
Yeah.
think that was important because I never did that before. And I was just like, I think I want to get a massage every 2 weeks. And when I finally did it, I was like, great. I had my little routine.
Nice. Congratulations. That's huge. That is big. And especially when you find, somebody you really trust to work on your body like that, like stick it out.
Yes, yes, gotta stick it out. Well, where can my audience find you, connect with you, support you? Um, where can they find you? What's your social media handles or websites that they can connect
Yeah,
with you?
definitely. Well, I am at myhealcode.com, and myhealcode is my handle for, Facebook or Instagram. I just jumped into the TikTok world, so bear with me as I I love it as a consumer. I just finally started creating a few things, and it's little tips like you just said. It's like, give yourself 10 minutes,
Yes.
do a breath
Yes.
work, do some breath work with me, that sort of thing, just some healing components. And I do have a group on Facebook where it's my heal code, where we weave the physical and the energy healing together. And so I teach a
Mhm.
lot about how your energy healing and your body work together. So if anybody likes to get a little more lengthier, explanations and trainings and that sort of thing, but yeah, if anybody reaches out via any of those, I answer all of my messages, my emails, that sort of thing. I'm very personal, very approachable. But any questions, if anybody's like, so how exactly does, energy healing work with my body? No questions too silly for me. I'm happy to dive in. I could talk about this all day.
Yes, and hear this,
I
guys.
do.
No question is too silly, and there's no such thing as a stupid question, only the question you didn't ask. So
Yep.
please contact Miss Pride and
Mhm.
get on your journey to, I always say self discovery, but also uh, just healing.
Mm.
Just healing. My heal code.
Yes, my heel code. Down to the cellular level. I've got your back.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed our interview. I have to get you back on here at some point because I truly
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And I know I can't wait for the audience to hear this and see what their feedback will be. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if you get some more clients, definitely. Me being one of them.
Well, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm here to heal. That's my purpose.
Yes,
So reach out. Thank you so much
definitely.
for inviting me.
Of course. And thank you guys for listening and tuning into this episode. I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.